Hello, everybody. I think there's a little bit of a delay here. So let me know in the comments if you can see me and hear me, and if all of that's good. And then in 2 minutes, I guess I'll know. I'll keep an eye on the comments. But let me pull my notes up here. Welcome to the Paper Towns Part 2 discussion live show. I was not actually at the Part 1 discussion, but I'm assuming a lot of you were, in which you guys talked about the first part of Paper Towns, which was called The Strings, I believe. Is that what it's called? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was asked to do this kind of recently, and I didn't.
Clean ripple texture gets you cleaner.
What? I have ads. I have ads somewhere, and they're loud. Oh, there we go. I'm getting an ad on my own live stream because it started playing. Oh, great. You guys see me. That's awesome. Okay, now that the ad situation is underway, I'm going to probably just mute my volume. Let me see how this is. Oh, it looks great. Oh, good. Okay. So you guys talked about the first one. We are now going to do part 2, which is called The Grass. And I have some really exciting news for you guys. If you want to try to win a John Green box set, I believe it's the box set that has the art around it designed by my good friend Karen Cavett, which is really cool and exciting, as well as a poster, probably the movie poster for Paper Towns. I'm assuming that would make sense. All you have to do is participate in this live show situation by commenting in the chat or whatever. I think commenting in the chat is how you get involved. Oh, look at all those comments. Hey guys, I don't know how many people are here, but this is exciting already. I haven't even shown off the book yet. We're talking about Paper Towns by John Green. This is actually an ARC that I received in 2008. So to recap, that was 7 years ago. Got this book 7 years ago. This arc is cool because it has Happy Margot on one side and Sad Margot on the other. Happy Margot, Sad Margot, Happy. I never had to pick. I could just have both. I have not actually read this arc since then. So Paper Towns came out in October of 2008, and I got this in like May. So it has been 7 years since I read this book. I've read a little, but I am also in the midst of the reread with you guys. I wanted to read it a little closer to the movie coming out. So I've got some stuff that we're going to talk about today, but I also have not read the whole book again. So just so you guys know, that's where I'm at. And just a reminder, you can win the John Green box set and the signed poster by participating and leaving comments down below, making friends, having fun, talking about the movie, whatever you want. So I'm going to go take a minute to read some comments, and then I'll do a little recap of what happened in part 2 of Paper Towns to the best of my ability. Let's see. All right, we've got a lot of people in here, and you guys are talking, and everyone's excited. There's a lot of capital letters, which makes me happy. Let's see what's going on this page. I don't know if I'm getting all the... Oh, there's a lot more comments here. YA Fanatic says that they love the art cover. I know. I feel kind of bad that I never actually got another version of this book. I never actually bought the real book, but I just like this arc so much. And also it has all of this stuff. I have a bookmark signed by John Green in the back here. I also have, if any of you guys were at, which event was it? It was Terminus, which is a Harry Potter convention in Chicago in 2008. Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. Okay, let me know in the chat if any of you guys were at Terminus. There was this event that John and Hank did sort of outside of it. Now they're all up in Harry Potter conventions and things like that. But back then they kind of did this little companion event in the same city at the same time. And this was on my seat. And I kept it. So that's awesome. Paper Towns has a really special place in my heart because I know I'm supposed to actually do like a discussion, but we're just going to talk for a little bit. Paper Towns has a really special place in my heart because I started watching John and Hank in 2007, really, really early in the Nerd Fighter days. It was when Brotherhood 2.0 had only been around for like 4 months or something like that. So this was the first book, as many of you probably know, that came out that John wrote after he'd started making YouTube videos. So Looking for Alaska and An Abundance of Catherines were already out before he started making videos. And then this was the first one that we got to all experience as fans together for the first time, which was really cool. And I'm only telling you this because it's a fun fact, not like a braggy thing. But I was on I was in a Harry Potter band. I don't know how many of the people in this chat are actually people who watch my videos and how many of you came from Penguin Teen, who's been promoting this event all day. Thank you, Penguin, for doing that. So I was in a Harry Potter band, and I was on tour that summer with my friend Lauren, who is another longtime nerd fighter. And we actually stopped and had lunch with John, and he had just gotten ARCs of this. And so he gave them to us and told us that we were, if not the first, among the first people actually in the target demographic of like young adult readers to get to read this book, which was a really fun experience. And we read it out loud to each other in the car, which was really fun and cool. And I honestly have not read it again since then. But we are going to talk about it anyway. Let's see. We've got someone who read it last summer, so it's been a year since she read the book. Mauve S asked if I met him. I'm assuming you're talking about John Green. I guess I should have read that question before, but I already answered it. Yes, I've met John multiple times because I've been making videos since 2007. And so I learned about Brotherhood 2.0 a really long time ago, and we just became friends in the early days. And now obviously John's busy and way too famous to hang out with people like me anymore. But I do get to, run into him every now and then, once in a blue moon at events. And it's been really fun to watch him become so successful and everything. But let's see. Okay, so looks like we're a little quiet in the comments area right now. So I am going to do a little summary of what happens in part 2. And then I have this Marauders Map mug that says, I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. That is full of questions that Penguin helped me. I'm going to be honest, they wrote them. Questions that Penguin gave me that we can talk about. So I'll be answering some of these, and then you guys can also answer them in the chat, and then I'll read out some of the best answers, and so on and so forth. That's sort of what we're going to do in this live show. I don't think it's supposed to be a very long live show, and I'm already talking your ears off. So let's get to the summary. YA Fanatic said that's a really cool story to have, and the Harry Potter band is fun. Thank you. You can still get my music, The Parcel Mouths. All you have to do is search on iTunes. So you can do that if you want. Anyway, let's see. Where am I? We're going to go to this. Okay, I've got some notes because I am still reading it, like I said. But here's what's going on. Oh, Penguin's tweeting. Okay, so part 1, getting comfy. This is going to take a little while. Part 1 of Paper Towns, as I'm sure you guys have all read since you're in the part 2 live show, is, the introduction to the story and the characters. It's when Q and Margot's midnight revenge adventure happens. This is probably, I think, the most fun part of the book. You guys already talked about this, but to recap, it's when, all of that crazy stuff happens with SeaWorld and getting back at people at school, all that stuff. Part 2 happens immediately after that, starting the next day, the next morning, when Q gets less than an hour of sleep before his alarm goes off and he has to go to school. This is when he, we'll get to that. So he gets to school. He's kind of excited to see how Margot's reacting around him and how she acts and all of that, but she's not there. This isn't super out of the ordinary for Margot. Q's a little confused, but everyone else is just like, whatever, it's Margot. She probably just, skipped school today. He thinks maybe she stayed home to sleep because she also probably didn't get any sleep. So he doesn't worry about it too much. He goes home. Her car's not there. It's kind of weird. He's hanging out with his friend, and then the next morning he comes out of his room and there's a bunch of people sitting around his table. He's got his parents, and he's got Margot's parents, and he's got the detective, Otis Warren. Okay, just before I move on, I'm just going to see if anything's happened in the chat that we can do this in pieces. Just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. People like my mug. Okay, we're getting some deep movie discussion going on. So we'll get to that. I want to talk a little bit about things we're excited to see in the movie. I'm gonna go back to my summary. So all the people, all the parents and detective around the table want to know if Q has seen Margot or if he saw her on a Wednesday night. And he says yes, but he kind of lies because he doesn't want to talk about all of the crazy things that they did because he could probably get in a lot of trouble for some of those things. So then this is where we truly meet Margot's horrific parents. And then his parents kind of get all psychologist on them. And then the detective takes Q into his room and he sits him down. He gets the real story out of Q. It's during all of this that Q also finds out that in previous situations, when Margot has run away, she leaves clues. And sometimes those clues lead you to where she is, and sometimes they're a little more open-ended, but this kind of gets him thinking, especially when he's in his bedroom later with Radar and Ben, and they see the Woody Guthrie poster hanging on her shade. That's out of the ordinary, and it's weird, and so they decide we have to go break into her room and see what's up. Let's see. Gotta peruse my notes here. There they find some more clues that lead them to kind of down a little rabbit hole, and it eventually leads them to a copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. Let me see. And it's got a bunch of highlighting in it. So then Q spends his weekend analyzing that and seeing what he can find from it. Also at school, Lacey Pemberton, who's one of the people that he and Margot pranked by putting catfish in her car, which is disgusting, and I feel bad for her a little bit, but she probably deserved it. Wants to know if Margot had been mad at her, and also just sort of offhandedly says that New York was the only place in America where a person could actually live a halfway livable life, which is a quote, of course, from Margot. So this gets the gears turning in Quentin's head. Again, I'm going to take a little break. I feel like I'm just like word vomiting at you guys. I just want to make sure that this is interactive. What are you guys talking about? Oh, you guys are talking about how the revenge events got shortened a bit, but all I've seen is a trailer, so I'm a very big proponent of waiting until I see the movie to pass judgment. I know it's fun to dissect and take apart a trailer, but you know, who knows? Personally, I think that the revenge portions are some of the most fun parts of the story, and so I hope that it's not just sort of breezed over in the movie. Let's see. Oh man, you guys are talking about editions of books. Okay, well, I'm gonna go finish up my summary, and then I want to talk about book editions too. So let me just run through the rest of this really quick. So there's one of the lines in the Walt Whitman book was unscrew the doors themselves and their jams. And so the boys are like, we should unscrew some doors. And so there's nothing in Margot's door, but then there's something in Q's door. And he finds a note, and it has an address that leads them to the the infamous abandoned strip mall. Of course, they go to the strip mall and they break in, and it's really creepy. And this is where they see painted on the wall in graffiti, "You will go to the paper towns and you will never come back." So a really cool thing about paper towns that John actually explained in a Tumblr post at one point is that every section of this book, he wanted to have paper towns embodying a different meaning. That in the first one, it just sort of means flimsy, lifeless towns that you sort of see a lot in Orlando. And then in this section of the book, he actually does his research by Googling paper towns and learns that a paper town is actually when they start building a housing development and they don't finish. And so it's technically a town on paper, but not actually a finished town in real life. And so this makes him start thinking about things a little bit more complexly. This makes him start reading a little deeper into the things that Margot's doing. And I think that it's when the book really starts to get real, So let's see, what does he do next? He of course goes back to the mini mall and camps out there for the night of prom, which I thought was crazy town. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could stay in an abandoned place by myself, especially at night. And clearly Ben didn't think it was a good idea either, because he calls him drunk at 3 a.m. and needs Q to pick him up from the prom after party. So Q goes home and he starts putting together a couple more clues to figure out that there's a pin in this map on New York State. So he's thinking about the fake towns in New York and realizes, let's see, how did this happen again? I made some notes. he's starting to realize that possibly Margot went to a paper town, an actual paper town in New York, and he finds one called Agloe, New York. And she actually commented, let's see, I wrote this down. FYI, whoever edits this, the population of Agloe will actually be 1 until May 29th, meaning that the fake town of Agloe will have 1 inhabitant on that day at noon, which Quentin realizes means that she will likely be there. And so that's when he decides, I gotta go find her. He grabs his friends, and the crazy road trip begins. So that is part 2 of Paper Towns. If you guys all read it, then you're probably with me there. I'm actually shocked at how much I remembered for not being able to get all the way through this book again for this live show. Apparently it stuck with me more than I thought. So I want to talk about what you guys are talking about in the chat because it looks fun. You guys are talking about the different editions. I really like the pushpin paperback, and I don't have it. But I remember when this book first came out, there was a big thing about whether you liked sad Margot or happy Margot. And it's interesting because when I got this book, I was like 20, I think, and I really liked sad Margot. And I don't know if it's just because I was like young and like dark brooding things, but now having, you know, aged a lot, I actually really prefer happy Margot now. It's interesting. But I also really love the pushpin edition, and I kind of want one, and maybe I should get, maybe my way of celebrating the movie coming out is that I should buy it. Maybe that's what I'll do. YA Fanatic said, I didn't know that he wanted paper towns to be different in each section. That's fun, and I'm going to have to pay attention to that now. Yes, actually, I don't know. I mean, you have to read the book pretty closely to pick that up. So, you know, he explained that in a post online, which I just remembered from reading his Tumblr and everything. But I think it's really interesting, and when you read it a second time, that definitely comes across, and it not only not only mirrors his Q's understanding of paper towns, but it also mirrors the amount of thought he puts into this whole situation, and also the way that he sees Margot. It's like in the first one, he kind of just sees her as this like not real person, this sort of like flimsy idea of a person. And then in the second one, it's, you know, she's kind of half a person. She's like a person on paper, but not in real life. And it's not until, I don't want to spoil part 3 for whoever's going to be running that live show, but it's not until he gets to that third definition of a paper town that he really actually starts to really think about her complexly as a human. And so I think that that's a really fun parallel that runs through the book. Autumn Riley says, I want a happy Margot, sad Margot, but it's so expensive. Yes. Well, yes. I am going to really quickly, I just realized I never actually tweeted about the live show. Not that we aren't having tons of exclusive fun here right now, but I'm just going to make sure that everybody knows that it's happening because I'm about to start getting questions out of my Marauders mug. Let's see. Paper Towns live show is happening now. Okay. All right. Melanie said, I love thinking that paper towns evolve with Q's perception of Margot. That's a great thought. Thanks, Kristina. You're welcome. Yeah, I definitely can't claim that because I read it straight off of John Green's blog. But I thought it would be an interesting thing to bring up for this live show in case you guys hadn't thought about that yourself. So I would love to know if any of you guys have any fun paper town stories, or how long ago you read it, or whatever, or if you've met John Green. These are all fun things. If you put those in the chat, I will be reading those. In the meantime, I'm going to pull some of these questions from here. I'm going to talk to you about my answers, but I would love it if you guys would type your answers in the chat so I can share those out loud with everybody. Hang on just a second. Just going to make sure. Yeah, this is all good. Okay. So, let's see. First question is, what character from any YA book would you want to help you solve Margot's clues? Any YA book. Well, I mean, I'm assuming that this means that I super want to solve Margot's clues. So, okay, yes. My first inclination is like Nancy Drew, because she's a detective. But also Nancy Drew wasn't YA. Nancy Drew is definitely like middle grade young reader. So shoot. YA detective. YA detective. Um, maybe like Hermione. I really should have thought about these ahead of time. I feel like Hermione would be really good at this kind of thing. I feel like whenever she and Harry and Ron were trying to solve things, she was always kind of the one giving the most useful suggestions. So I think, yeah. Also, I think it'd be really fun because whoever I pick, I then have to get to go on a road trip with, and I think that a road trip with Hermione Granger would be super fun. So, yeah, I'm gonna pick Hermione. Okay, I'm gonna see what else is going on in the chat while I wait for you guys to tell me what YA characters you'd want to help you solve Margot's clues. Let's see. Oh, YA Fanatic saw. Oh yeah, there was a Paper Towns panel at BookCon this weekend, which I didn't actually get to go to. Would have been a lot of fun, and I probably would have had a lot more insight to share with you guys for this live show, but unfortunately I didn't get to go to that. But YA Fanatic said John talked a lot about how he wanted to look at the difference between Margot being on a pedestal versus being a real person. I think that's awesome. And also I think that theme in this book came at such a good time for YouTube, because this book came out very, very early in the YouTube days, but right when a lot of us had really started becoming friends with each other and meeting each other at conventions. And I think that the whole idea of imagining people complexly and just not putting someone on a pedestal was just such a good message to carry into meeting each other and meeting people that you've watched on YouTube, maybe meeting people that you feel like you're a fan of. And I think that, like, I don't know if that was always something that he'd had in this book from the very inception of starting to write it, or if that's something that he put in because of his time on YouTube. But I just thought it was a really nice parallel to real life and the things that a lot of us were going through at that time. And so, yeah, that thought has really helped me through the years, just imagining people complexly, whether that's, someone that you have a crush on, or a stranger, or someone who annoys you, or just there's so many different ways that you can take that idea into your own life. And yeah, it's great. Let's see. YA Fanatic said that they'd take Cammy from I'd Tell You I Love You, but then I'd have to kill you by Ally Carter. It's not a book that I've actually read, so I don't know who that person is or what they're like, but I'm sure it's a great decision. Also, Oforth said, wow, yeah, Hermione would be great. Or The Gang from the Last Little Blue Envelope. That's a great one. Basically, any book where people are trying to solve something, those characters would be great. This isn't a YA book, but I'd also love, like, the Scooby Gang from Buffy. I feel like they'd do a pretty good job of hunting down Margot. Melanie said that she would pick Hermione or Four from Divergent just because I want to hang out with them. I know. I feel like I sort of changed the question by realizing this means that you get to go on a road trip with them. Like, as long as you're good enough at figuring out clues, it doesn't really matter if the person that you're with is good at figuring out clues, because you just get to go on a road trip with them, and that's great. Future Dude Man, another longtime nerd fighter, is currently trolling us in the chat. He said, what is this? Blog TV seems different. Blog TV, I don't even know. Does that site even exist still? I haven't thought about Blog TV in a really long time. Autumn Riley said that she would bring Remus Lupin because, one, I love Remus Lupin, and two, he's the kind of person who loves solving things like that, and we'd have a lot of fun sorting out the clues. That's a solid choice. I'm liking all of these Harry Potter choices. It's so hard. I feel like anytime I'm asked questions about, like, pick any character or something from YA, like, how can you not pick Harry Potter, Flick Evergreen said this is their first ever live show. Welcome to your first ever live show. I haven't done a live show on my channel ever. I've done live shows, but I haven't done one like this. And it's fun, and I like it, and so I might start doing more. So if you are one of my subscribers, to look forward to that. And if you aren't, if you're one of the people who was sent here from Penguin, feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to do more book related live shows. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Okay, I missed a couple comments, so I'm gonna go back up. Oh, Olive Dixon has been around a while. She said, I remember when everyone in the Five Awesome Girls first got the book and started talking about it. Ah, nostalgia. Yes, that simultaneously feels like it was yesterday and so long ago. Okay, it doesn't feel like it was yesterday because I don't remember how this book ends exactly, but it feels like it was recently. Um, oh, that's a good answer. Nicole said, I'm not sure who I'd want to help, maybe Rory or Jerome from Shades of London. That is a really good answer. I love the Shades of London series. That's by Maureen Johnson, which is relevant because she's a good friend of John Green's. Rory is daring and Jerome is really interested in solving mysteries. Yes, this is true. I also might pick one of the actual Shades. I feel like I'd pick Stephen or Callum. Probably Stephen because he is a sharp cookie. Hermione's a good one. Are there going to be prizes? The reader, Rick Flieger, said, are there going to be prizes? I'm assuming you're asking about this live show. And the answer is yes. Just for participating in the show by commenting, participating in the chat, whatever, you are automatically entered to win a box set of John Green's novels and also a poster. And so you are already entered if you've asked that question. Let's see. You need to read the Gallagher series. It's basically a series about teenage spies. That would also be probably good people to bring along. Oh, you now bought Blog TV. That's not relevant, but cool. Good to know. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. So get your answering fingers ready. Let's see. What was your reaction to Margot's mom basically saying she didn't want Margot to come back? Okay, so this question is not as fun and upbeat as the last question, but it's a legit question. So just kind of let me know your general thoughts in the chat and I'll read them out. It was a little weird. Okay, I don't remember how I felt the first time I read the book because, like I said, it was so long ago, and I've only just kind of started rereading this book again recently. But I definitely read that scene just earlier today. When they're around the table and her parents are being kind of awful, and I guess I just don't really understand how parents could react like that. I mean, I know that she's caused them stress, and I know that she kind of acts out and has done this before. And I get the girl who cried wolf kind of thing, like, oh, she'll be back. But like the fact that they were gonna change the locks and all of that, and when they actually said the line like, we have another kid to worry about, I just thought that was awful. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's hard for me to understand because I was raised in a loving home with parents who wanted me to be there, and even now, they said, she's an adult, whatever. I feel like even now, if I was in trouble, my parents would let me come home. But I also wasn't a bad kid, and so I don't really understand that dynamic. But I don't know any parents like Margot's parents. Not exactly like that. And I guess I wish that we saw some scenes that like how they interact with their other kid or whatever. I don't know. It was just a very confusing thing. I mean, it made sense. Actually, Melanie said, I understand that she was frustrated with Margot, but more so it made me understand why Margot would leave. I definitely thought that too. It made sense that she didn't want to be around there and why everything felt fake and bad. And, she blamed it on the town, but really a lot of it was at home. But yeah, I just had a really hard time believing that parents would react like that, especially in front of in front of other parents. It just seemed kind of horrible. And yeah, it just bothered me. I felt really bad for Margot, but also her parents sucked. And at least it was nice that people acknowledged that sort of everybody in the room acknowledged that. Joel said there's some pretty messed up parents out there. Yeah, and I definitely agree. And there probably are parents. I'm sure there are tons of parents out there like that. I just don't really know any. And so I had nothing sort of real world to relate them to. And I just found it a little shocking. Future Dude Man, Alex said, it's been 6 years since I read this book. I should really reread it. Side note, 6 years. Yes, I feel the same way. When I was first asked to do this live show, I was like, oh, I've read Paper Towns, no big deal. And then when I was looking through the questions they wanted me to talk about, I was like, I don't remember any of that. So this is a really good thing that we're all doing to prepare for the movie. Let's see. YA Fanatic said, I feel like even when parents and children don't get along, a kid missing seems like something you should want to figure out, even if you don't get along well. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like, we didn't know if they'd had some sort of big falling out beforehand, or if she'd done something really terrible to them to make them feel this apathetic toward her. But I feel like a kid who just like runs away every now and then, it's really like not that bad in the grand scheme of like bad kid things to do. Really just didn't understand where the hostility came from with her parents. They just seemed kind of like terrible people. The reader Rick says, if you want to see messed up parents, read Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I have that book on my shelf, and so I will look forward to seeing that. Nerdfighter721 says that they had a friend whose mom pretty much hated her daughter, which was their friend, and if my friend would have ran away, her mom would have had the same reaction. That is a huge bummer. I'm so sorry that you know somebody like that. But yeah, I think that they're just sucky people. Like I think that John just did a really good job of writing sucky people, because I feel like the most sucky of people are the ones whose motivations you just don't even understand, because they just suck. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good point. Joel said, I agree. John Green could probably have built up to Margot's mom's statement with some character building. I think, yeah, if we'd seen a little bit more of her being a horrible person, or why, like, we don't know if she's an alcoholic or if she's just like lazy, or, we don't really know what's going on in her life to make her feel this way. So it just felt like cartoonish a little bit, like terrible mom says terrible mom things. But some people are just like that. So who knows? Okay, let's find another question. If you took off like Margot, where would you go and what clue would you leave? Oh, before this, I just want to say Cameron had a good point. I think there are things a person can do to merit their parents changing the locks on them, which is definitely true. I don't think we see evidence of Margot having done anything that extreme. Yes, that's exactly what it is. She ran away a few times, but it's not like she tried to burn the house down. It's not like she tried to, suffocate a sibling. There's a lot of things that are bad, especially like putting your other family members in danger. We haven't seen any of that. And so, yeah, it just seemed a little extreme. But okay, where I would go and what clue I would leave. I don't know. I really want to know what you guys say first. I think I might stall until I get a couple of answers from you guys, because my first instinct, as I just said, is to say Hogwarts, even though that's not even a real place that I can actually go. So maybe like the Harry Potter theme park. Maybe I'll go try to live in the how they said that Margot, maybe she went and tried to just, what was it, like live in a storage closet in Tomorrowland or something. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, maybe I could go live in the Three Broomsticks, or is that the one at Harry Potter World? Yeah, I think it's a Three Broomsticks. Kristina, I'll definitely be coming to more live chats if you're hosting them. You're an awesome host. Thank you. That's really nice. It's like I said, it's been a very long time since I've done live shows, so that's nice to hear. Maybe I'll do more. I don't know. I actually have a book club on Goodreads if you guys are interested, called the Restricted Section Book Club. If you just search Restricted Section on Goodreads, you can join it. And I was thinking about potentially doing live shows to talk about the books that we do read-alongs for. A lot of other book YouTubers do this, and so maybe I'll do that. Who knows? Okay, we're getting some answers. Let's see. Okay, Joel said that's a difficult question. Automatically running away and leaving clues. My mind goes to New York City and leaving a bunch of huge apples. I like it. Apparently we had multiple people in the chat think that. The reader Rick said Morocco. Jamie Wheeler would go to Walt Disney World. I wouldn't need a clue. I think anyone who knows me would check there first. Yeah, okay, yeah. Autumn would leave a hint in a book of some kind. I would probably go to Adelboden. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. Switzerland, because I went there last summer and fell in love with it. It's so beautiful and relaxing. I seriously have no idea. I was hoping, oops. Whoa, scrolled down and there we go. I was hoping to get ideas from other people. Go to Japan and leave one of those deeds to an acre of land on the moon. That's good. Throw them off the scent. Maybe you don't want to be found. That's a good point. Flick would go to Iceland, and leave a plane ticket to Iceland. So, question. Would you leave your plane ticket to Iceland? Because if that's what you did, you wouldn't be able to get to Iceland. Or would you buy a second ticket and then whoever finds it can meet you there? Because that would be kind of cool. YA Fanatic would go to London and leave a Gryffindor scarf. Carmen asked what the question was again. So what we're talking about right now, if you're new, if you missed the last couple minutes, is if you took off like Margot, where would you go and what clue would you leave behind to let people know where you went? Let's see. Oforth said, I don't think I can answer this one because it's so out of character for me. I tend to run away in my own mind, not a physical location. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. That's all right. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I keep losing it. You guys are leaving so many comments. It's great. Boba Bottle would run away to a library. This one's good. Melanie would go to M&M World and leave a bunch of M&Ms as a trail to the front door from your bedroom to the front door. Let's see. There's a lot of really good answers here, so I definitely recommend you guys go through and read them. Future Dude Man. I'm going to cheat and alter the question, but it'd be kind of cool to like just kind of go from convention to convention, like all guerrilla style. But in actual life, let's not sneak into cons. That's a really good point. Actually, that's similar to what I was going to say. So if I were to run away, like legit run away, I think that I would want to go to a sort of Renaissance medieval fantasy fair type situation, but there isn't one that just exists all the time. So like Future Dude Man said, I would probably go find ones that are currently because I feel like there's got to be one happening at least every weekend somewhere. So I would just sort of drift from Renaissance fair to Renaissance fair, and I would just leave like weird gemstones hidden around that, I don't know, they all mean different things, so I could give hints based on like terrain of where certain gemstones are found as to where I am or something. I don't know. Melanie has a really good answer. She changed her answer. On second thought, I would leave a note saying that I left, but really just stay in my bedroom the whole time. That is brilliant, because then all of your friends will be so busy out searching for you that they just leave you alone. If that was what you wanted in the first place, then that's awesome. Ragnarok Loki said that they'd go to Powell's and leave a box set of Portlandia. That is the best answer. You win. You win this question. That was so good that we're gonna go on to the next one. Although Nicole said that she went to her first Ren Fair this weekend. That is awesome. I am proud of you, and I hope you loved it. Okay, I've got two more. We'll do this one first. This question is, what was your honest opinion on how obsessed Q was with finding Margot? Do you think she was being selfish? Okay, so that's kind of a two-part question. So we'll take the first part first. What was my honest opinion on how obsessed Q was with finding Margot? You know, I didn't really find it odd. I sort of, you know, Margot sort of chose Q a little bit in the sense that, you know, she took him on this crazy adventure that was obviously felt like the start of something a little, and then just disappeared. And that's kind of a lot to leave someone with. And, you know, he just seems like he has a very thoughtful personality. And so the fact that she left these clues, and the fact that the very first clue was on the shade in her room that she knew that he would see from the very beginning, made it feel like these clues were left for Q. And so I definitely think that, you know, he was a little bit more obsessive about these clues than the rest of his friends were, but you know, he was the one who saw her the night before she left. He was the one who the first clue seemed to be left for. I definitely understand how you can get carried away with something like that, because she set it up in a way that I thought it was totally justified for him to feel like she was speaking to him. And so, yeah, I thought it was totally justified the way that he was acting. As far as Margot being selfish, I feel like she's not saying that young people are excused from being selfish, because that's definitely not true, but I think that she's young enough. I mean, especially looking back, I kind of thought she was selfish at the time because I was similar in age to her when I read it, and I was thinking, I wouldn't go do something like this. I'm not that crazy. But now looking back, she was feeling a lot of things and seeing the way that her parents were and the way that life made her feel and all those things. Yeah, she probably could have handled it in a way that was less selfish. And I think that we'd be getting into part 3 spoilers to like really go into that. But I mean, yes, I think she was acting a little selfishly, but I don't ultimately think that that was necessarily the worst thing that she could have done. And she's just a unique person who marches to the beat of her own drum. And so she handled it in the only way she knew, which was craziness. Let's see. You guys have some really insightful things going on here, so I'm gonna read some of your answers. Rosie thought it was cute. If you love someone, you become obsessed with them anyway, and his determination was amazing. That's actually really true. When you think about, like, I had a crush on a boy in high school where I legitimately went through that whole phase of like walking a different route to my class because I knew I would pass him, and like sitting on the side of the bus that I knew passed his bus at a certain point. Like, you do really silly things when you're young and you think you're in love, And so he was actually given a situation to obsess over rather than having to invent things to obsess over like the rest of us usually have to do. And so, yeah, I thought it was cute, and believable. And as Ragnarok Loki said, I think every teenager feels things more intensely, and the world can seem like a thing they're missing out on. And I definitely agree with that. Melanie said, I think he was deflecting his attention away from moving on and away from high school onto Margot. But on the other hand, if Margot happened to me, I would be just as obsessed. Yeah, I think that's really interesting to think about how you would react in this situation. If you saw these clues that felt like they were left for you. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but as a reader, I read so many books where something happens to the main character that sort of sweeps them away from their normal life into this story, into this, whether it's a actual magical world or something that happens that feels like one. And as a reader, we all sort of wait for that to happen to us. And this very much happens to Q. And how can you ignore that? Like, I wouldn't be able to ignore that. This is interesting too. Future Dude Man said, I'm such a different reader now. I didn't think about any of this originally. That's definitely true as well. The older I get and the more books I read, the more I start to think about them critically. And there's a lot more going on than just the base storyline. And whether or not something that a character is doing is selfish or justified or any of that, it's definitely interesting to look back on books you read when you were younger and see how your opinions about things changed, because sometimes you get more critical and sometimes you actually get more lenient with characters as you get older and understand, why they were acting a certain way at a certain age. Let's see. The reader Rick, that's definitely a good point. He said he wouldn't call this love, but more like infatuation. Definitely agree. That's actually why earlier I said when you think you're in love, because a lot of times at that age, you think you're in love and it feels all encompassing, but that's really because you don't really have anything to compare it to. And so infatuation is a much better word for it, but no self-respecting teenager is going to say, I'm obviously not in love, I'm in infatuation. It's not the way that a teenage mind usually comprehends a situation like that. Tailored for Dreams says, I feel like it may have been selfish, but when you are a teenager, running away is one of the only sources of agency you can sometimes feel like you have. That's a really good point. And that's another thing that I probably didn't think about when I first read this book, because the first time I read this book, I still lived at home with my parents. And so when you think about like escaping from a problem or anything like that, running away is sometimes the only option that you have. When you're an adult, there's a lot of choices you can make. You can move, or you can call the cop. Like, you just have so many more options. As a kid, like you live the life that you live, and the hand that you were dealt. And if things get bad enough, the only thing that you think of is, well, I have to run away. And that's not necessarily the only option when you get older, which is interesting to think about. Bobo Bottle said, I also understood Margot. I have never ran away anywhere, and I love home, but I get wanderlust, and sometimes I just want to be alone, like completely alone. And that's totally true. Maybe she had just, transcended the part of her life where she was able to exist with other people. There's a lot that goes into like living at home with your family, these people that you didn't get to choose being with. And maybe she was just over it, maybe she was just over it faster than most people are. The book goddess said, I think Margot was respective, selfish. Like she was selfish because of her surroundings, but it seemed a bit more reasonable. Yeah. And I think seeing how crappy her parents are definitely makes you understand, you know, she was maybe being selfish with regard to making her friends worry and all of that. But with regard to like her own, taking her happiness into her own hands wasn't necessarily selfish, maybe like not the best way to do it, but I don't think selfish is the right word. Um, let's see. Jamie Wheeler says, I think selfish is often overused when people do, oh no, went away. People do what they have to do for themselves. Ultimately, people have to look after their own happiness or mental health. I think Margot had to do it for herself. Yes, that's exactly what I was saying, but you said it more eloquently. I totally agree with you. Zazie Zoo said, right, I think every reaction I've had to YA books in my 20s has been very different than I know I would have reacted when I was 15. That's a very good point. And actually, it's made me want to go back and reread some of my favorites from when I was younger, because I have some books that I read when I was a teenager that I'm still recommending to people off of the same feelings that I felt when I was 15 or 16 when I read it. And sometimes I wonder if I'd feel the same way about those books now. And so, yeah, it's very interesting to see how our perspectives change as we get older. Bookish Foodie said, I like this quote, life is a massive puzzle with pieces that don't necessarily always fit together. Margot is much the same way. I totally agree with that. This is off topic, but Autumn Riley said, I love your nails. Can I see them up close? I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm wearing nail wraps that are manga themed. And so we've got like anime eyes and we've got some quotes and we've got some words and stuff. These are fun. I really like them. I have a bunch of these, but I tend to save them for special occasions. So I was wearing these for BEA and BookCon. Pretentious Tea Time says, hey, Kristina. Hey, Pretentious Tea Time. Oh, you totally can see my nails. It's delayed, and I just now saw it in the playback. Let's see. I didn't really analyze how I felt about everything that happened in the book that much, probably because I was 12 and haven't read that much books. Yeah. Honestly, when you're 12, you just read a book, and if you like the story, you like the story, and if you don't, you don't. And you kind of learn to think critically as you get older. And it's interesting because I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I hated reading books in school, and I hated analyzing every bit of them. But as I've gotten older and I've read more and more books, and I've started to become more critical on what I call a really good book, I'm realizing that those skills that I grudgingly picked up in high school about analyzing every bit of a book is now actually one of my favorite things to do, because I just love picking apart what makes a book great. And I think that you gain so many more skills in that department as you become more well-read, just naturally as you get older. Nicole has to go. Thank you for coming. I think I'm going to end this. When I'm going to be honest, when Penguin Teen asked me to do this chat, they told me that they were looking for a 15-minute live show, and it has been almost an hour. You cannot ask me to do a 15-minute live show and expect that to happen, because I have a lot to say. Let's see. I think we have one more question, so maybe we'll go through this one and then kind of wrap it up. I think 1 hour is a good amount of time for this live show. Before I get to this question, I've had a lot of fun. You guys have been great. And I really enjoyed doing this show. I had not done a live show in a long time, and I really appreciated how thoughtful and insightful you guys were and leaving great comments and things. So thank you. The reader Rick said, I know this is off topic, but do you have advice for new booktubers who are just starting their channel? It's interesting because I am a new booktuber, but I'm not a new YouTuber at all. And so a lot of the things that I do just are the same things that I did on my channel before. But I would say that what I really like about BookTube is that in this community, it really doesn't matter how many subscribers that you have or how big your channel is or whatever, because people are just looking for people who read the same kinds of books as them. So I would say just start making videos and talk passionately about the books you love, and don't fall into the habit of just saying everything's great, because people really like honest opinions. And then just reach out and meet other booktubers, because everyone's really friendly and you'll make friends really quickly. and it's awesome. So just do it. Just start. Bookish Foodie said, do you think your dislike of reading books in high school had anything to do with the fact that it was required? I think the rebel in me always hated reading books when I was told to. Yeah, I think so. And I think also there was this weird disconnect between books that I had to read in school and like the fact that they're just real books. Like I kind of felt like, you got textbooks in school, which taught you math and science. And then you got like fiction books that I thought were books like written to teach you books. And it didn't really occur to me until I was older and I started reading some of these books on my own time that these were just books and that they were great books, which is why we picked them to read them in school. And so it took me a very long time to look at them that way. And so, when I loved reading Harry Potter and things like that, it was hard for me to get Red Scarf Girl or A Tale of Two Cities and to see that in the same vein. And so I think that I just had this weird aversion to reading books that I was told to read because I felt like they weren't like real books, like fun books, So I think that had something to do with it. And I've really wanted to go back and like reread some of the books I read in school to see, because like The Great Gatsby and The Catcher in the Rye and like some of these books are like some of the best books, and I just didn't appreciate them at the time. So you learn as you get older. Thanks for doing this, Kristina. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Melanie, for coming by. YA Fanatic says thank you as well. I hope you guys are excited about the Paper Towns movie. What's the worst book you've ever read? What do you think makes a book bad for you? I don't want to throw any authors under the bus during this sort of sponsored show. If you want to know how I really feel about books, you should follow me on Goodreads, which you can get to by I've got links in the description of all of my videos. So just watch one of my videos and it'll be there. I think what makes a book bad for me is if the story like physically doesn't make sense. And also if there are problematic themes in a book. If a book has something that I feel like flies in the face of things that we should be like teaching people, like I've read books that have really unfeminist themes. I had books that, approach heavy topics poorly. Those kinds of things really ruin a book for me. And just also if characters aren't likable, but it's not done in a way that's purposeful, that also is really hard for me to get through. So anyway, I'm really critical about books, but also for a reason, because there's so many great books out there and I'd rather read great books. Let's see. I've got another question, but we're having such an interesting conversation that I might just skip it and talk about the things that we're talking about. Future Dude Man says the whole teaching you to read critically thing was really poorly done in school. I kind of agree. I think that it's framed so often as like, also like they used reading as also a way to teach you how to write essays. And I think that if more of teaching you to read critically in school was just read the book and then let's have a discussion, I think that would have helped me, because I really didn't like always having to write an essay after reading a book, because even in reading the book, I dreaded writing the essay. And now I don't have to write essays about books anymore. I mean, I film video essays basically, and I review them on Goodreads, but because I want to do that, it just feels so much different. Emily Eldred says, Christine, you've gotten me into so many freaking books, it's not even funny. Well, you're welcome, but also I apologize to your wallet, because I know how that can be. Meg Barrett said, I just got here. I'm going to have to start at the beginning when this ends. Well, luckily it's recorded, so you can do that. Sorry that we're just wrapping up, but there's a lot of you here, and I'm very excited about this. So I will definitely be doing more live shows. I don't know when or if they'll be on any sort of regular cadence, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want more information about that, or follow me on Twitter, or you can join my Goodreads book club, the restricted section, because I'll also probably be talking about them there. Oh, that's a really good, the manga nails, thank you. Future Dude Man said, I do think it's important to recognize a difference between having problematic stuff and being problematic. Snape is interesting, but he's not that good a person. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that it's awesome when a book can take problematic things and do them justice and teach the world something about them. I don't think that we need to take anything anything offensive or dark or whatever out of books. I just think when people don't realize that they're perpetuating something that we could maybe help, I think, when a book doesn't have diversity, or when a book uses language that we're trying to, rise above, using words like slut or girly as a bad word and stuff like that. Like if a book does those things without commenting on them in some way, that just bothers me. And this is the same way I critique anything really. It's not just books. It's people's videos and movies and everything. I just hold things to a really high standard because I've read so many great things that I know it can be done. Emily said, if you're in Austin this summer, I'd love to meet you and just talk about books with you. I have never been to Austin, and I've really always liked to visit that city. So if I ever am in Austin, I'll let you know. I don't currently have any plans to go there. I will be at VidCon, though, so if any of you guys are at VidCon, I'm actually moderating the BookTube panel, as well as I'm going to be hosting a currently secret book meetup that's going to be really fun. So keep an eye on my channel for an announcement about that. Oh, Maggles' mom is in hospice, and we just got told we have hours, maybe days left. I am so sorry, and I'm so glad that we were able to distract you for a little bit. Everyone tell her that you hope that everything's going well in the comments, because we're all a big supportive group of people, and I'm so sorry that you have sad stuff going on. And let's see. God, there's so many comments. Oh, legit, your channel has brought me so much joy that there are people in this world who are so into books just like me, and it isn't weird to be into books. It is not weird to be into books. And thank all of you. Man, the number of people watching the show just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's so hard to end the show when there's so many people here. So thank you. Autumn is correct. My Twitter is @Kristina Horner. So follow me there. Apparently there's a lot of people in Texas and also Northern Ireland that want me to meet them. I don't currently have any plans to go to any of these places, but I would love to go to all of them. So yes, hope everything is going well for you, Maggles. If you guys want to hang out in the chat of this video, feel free. I'm also curious how many of you guys came from Penguin and weren't already subscribers of mine. So let me know that in the comments. And I hope to see a lot of you guys around soon. Let me see, there was like a wrap up that I was supposed to do for the show. Let's see. Thanks for joining. Make sure you follow Penguin Teen on Twitter. They're great, and they do a lot of cool stuff like this all the time. And they're all nice people. And also the hashtag Paper Towns if you want to keep up with the read along. And part 3 of the discussion is next Wednesday, so you have until then to finish the book, or if you're like me, start it. Let's see. Wow, there are a lot of people from all over the place. Manila, Brazil, Philippines. Wow, there are so many more people from other countries than I would have thought. Yeah, so wait, Future Dude Man said Brazil. You're not from Brazil. Are you from Brazil? I don't believe that. Oh, Autumn is already subscribed, and I was super excited when I saw it was you doing the live show. Yay! Melanie's also a subscriber, but Penguin Reminded on Twitter. I don't know how to say your name, so I've been skimming over it. Is it Judiel? Judiel? Came from Penguin and didn't get disappointed. Well, thank you for coming. You were lovely to have in the chat. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. YA Fanatic said Penguin Teen is wonderful. Follow them. I agree. Rosie subscribed. Let's see. Melissa came from Penguin. Glad I stopped by. Thank you. I'm just having a really hard time like calling it quits. Okay, I'm ending this in 1 minute because that will be 1 hour. Thank you guys so much. I had a wonderful time. I hope to see the new faces around soon, and I'll do another live show. I'm going to give myself a month. Within the month, I'm going to do another live show. I promise. Pinky swear. You should go join the Rhode Island. Yeah. See, I'm on to you. Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's not 7:30 yet. Oh, I did. Judy L. Cool. Yay! Congratulations, me. Okay, it's 7:30 now. Thank you guys for watching. One of you will be winning a John Green box set and poster. It may or may not be signed. I don't know, but either way, I hope one of you is really excited to win it. And thank you again, Penguin Teen, for having me host this show and getting me excited about doing live shows again and about the Paper Towns movie. Okay. Oh, and when you guys see the Paper Towns movie, feel free to @reply me and let me know your thoughts, because we shared this moment together, and so I would love to know how you felt about the movie. David Wood notices 1 minute before it's over. I'm so sorry, but I will do them again soon. Okay, we're done. I don't know how to end this broadcast. Where is it? Oh, it's here. So much going on. Okay, bye guys.